Yo guys, it's your boy, the Pacific Demon, Caliban Jacker. It's October 31st. And, well, it's Halloween. So happy Halloween, guys. With it being Halloween, I'm gonna drop down my top 10 zombie games. Everybody does zombies now. In fact, it's just been leaked that Call of Duty, the new Advanced Warfare that comes out in a couple days, will have a zombie mode. Go figure. Walking Dead's doing great. It's one of the greatest shows on TV if you haven't watched it. And I know a lot of people are going, but it's a zombie show. Trust me. Zombies are pretty much there, but it's the acting and the emotions that put the show over the top. As far as games go, like I said, there's a lot of games that has zombies in it, zombie modes. These are my personal top 10. For number 10, Plants vs. Zombies. Now, the tablet and the telephone game was pretty epic, and it did really good. The consoles, however, well, the 360 and PS3 has that game, but they also have another game that the PS4 and Xbox One has, and that's Plants vs. Zombies, the shooter. And, I downloaded it just because everybody looked like they were having fun. Played it, and I have to admit, it was pretty fun. It's pretty enjoyable, just trying to level up your zombie, level up your plants. See what is actually more dangerous, plants or zombies. If you can get it free or find it pretty cheap, it's definitely worth having in your collection. I actually have it downloaded on my Xbox One, so anytime I want to, I can always go back and play it. Okay, number 9, the Left 4 Dead series. This series is pretty awesome. I definitely probably won't win any awards. It should. It was one of the first zombie games that was ever truly a co-op survival zombie game. The characters, well, yeah, the characters kind of sucked, but the zombies were pretty cool. The storyline was alright. It was just fun having it being co-op and having your friends there trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. My number 8 game. It's not out yet, so I can't really say much, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty good, and that is Dying Light. First person extremeness parkour zombie killer. It kind of looks like the Dead Island series. In fact, it was made by the original Dead Island crew, or the original crew that made Dead Island. Now, supposedly they said it's going to be a 8-player co-op survival game, and if you pre-order, you actually get the ability to play as a zombie and actually do what Evolve's doing, which is pretty much one zombie versus all the other characters or 8 other players. I'm not sure if it's going to come out later. From what I hear, it may actually be a pre-order thing only, so yes, if you want to play something, pre-order it. Number 7, the Dead Rising series. The stories of this game has been pretty epic. Gameplay is pretty phenomenal. The fun part is actually finding stuff to make crazy weapons that kill the zombies. It's from Capcom, so it's pretty simply to play. But especially with the new systems, the next or current gen, the PS4 and Xbox One. Xbox One had Dead Rising 3 as a exclusive. And to be honest, it was a pretty big world. Well, technically it was 3 little islands that were linked by a highway. But it was big enough. The thing about this is the entire city was filled with zombies. And zombies was just coming and coming and coming. I mean, I remember seeing at least over 100 zombies on screen at one time. And that was pretty damn impressive to me. Alright, my number 6 is the Dead Island series. First person survival again. It's... The story was very lacking. The characters, they seem emotionless, but the game was pretty fun. You could drive vehicles, run over zombies, like in Dead Rising. You found weapons, you build weapons. A lot of the weapons though was very limited, so it was pretty much, it did emphasize the whole survival thing on the Dead Rising, which is pretty much weapons everywhere. It just might not be the weapon that you want. Dead Island, there were weapons at certain places and you just had to go for the best. Number 5. Pretty much it hasn't come out yet, but PlayStation 4's H1Z1. If it does come out, it looks pretty good. Basically, it's a DayZ ripoff. But, with DayZ being in the alpha stage for how long, H1Z1 looks like it could be a good, second choice to it. It's still in progression. So, I mean, like I say, it's a DayZ ripoff. And DayZ is actually my number 4. Now, the whole thing with this is it's an MMO zombie thing, which, there's a world full of zombies. Well, technically in the alpha, not a lot of zombies, but there's a world full of humans, and sometimes the humans are worse than the zombies. And DayZ has proved that. It's definitely one of the games that I really hope that they finish and could do a proper game for. Well, it's supposed to come out on PS4. It's supposed to come out on Xbox One. But we'll never know. Until they finish it, it's pretty much on standby. Now, like I said, my number H1Z1 is the PS4's answer, just in case it didn't come out. Xbox has a few zombie games, but truthfully, Xbox One is supposed to get Fortnite, which is pretty much the same thing as DayZ and H1Z1, except it's more kiddie-ish and comedic looking. It's pretty much a zombie game that's not supposed to, a DayZ that's not supposed to be meant to be gory and violent. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I kind of didn't put it into my top 10. This is still a great game. It's just, if you have DayZ and H1Z1, Fortnite kind of takes the back seat to both games. Alright, number 3, Resident Evil. Come on, Resident Evil is the be-all survival horror. It's what's pretty much started it all. Yeah, it wasn't scary, but like the graphics wasn't as great as it should have been, or at least the gameplay. You were pretty much stiff, but the story was pretty there. It was pretty complex. We still don't know the entire story of the whole series, and even with the characters being so unemotional and unanimated, most of us fell in love with the characters. And it did have its moments. Technically, Resident Evil is the game that started the entire zombie craze. At least for video game wise. Number 2, and this is a must-have for any zombie game fan out there, Telltale's Walking Dead. It's not an action game, so throw everything you think out the window. It's a storytelling game. It's one of those storytelling. Telltale's actually does some pretty great games. I mean, it's got its Lego brands. It has a lot of these story games like The Walking Dead, the new Wolves Don't Cry or whatnot. They're making a Borderlands, Game of Thrones version. But it's a story that gets to you in this game. I think there's 5 parts in season 1 with some kind of extra standby. Season 2 came out with another 5 parts. Obviously, there's going to be another standby itself. The story is pretty complex. You get to decide what the story is. The story wasn't ruined for season 1 until you got to the end, and when you got to the end, I remember when the first person beat the season 1 story, and it leaked out, and everybody was devastated. Everybody kept on playing just to get to the end and try and see if they could create a different ending. But that's how emotionally involved with the characters that you seen drew you in, is that it pretty much crushed everybody. Every gamer who's seen the ending to season 1, whether you liked the game, whether you played the game, was pretty much blown out of the water. And for that entire day, I remember a lot of guys that I seen that, you look around and a lot of people were happy, enjoying, then you see one guy just walk around, point to him and Walking Dead, and he's like, yeah, that was so fucked up. And you could tell the gamers from that day, it's that good. A lot of you will be like, but it's not action. You don't need action if you have a good story. And that story was pretty damn devastating and great. Number uno, my number 1 pick, my number 1 top zombie game that I've played. One of my favorites is actually a Microsoft Xbox exclusive called State of Decay. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, well, he some Microsoft fanboy, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, State of Decay is nothing you've ever could imagine. The guys at Undead Labs, they set the bar for survival games. State of Decay is basically your normal game. You know, you have a little fortress, go out, find survivors, bring them back, go out, find food, bring them back, try and kill zombies along the way. There's a pretty good story with the game. The graphics isn't phenomenal, but it's still pretty good. It's definitely well made for a small studio. The thing that blows every other game out is that it's a true survival game. And this is what I mean by that. When you shut off your system, the game is still going. So you can actually, you know, build an entire fortress, lock everything down, put in a ton of food, have 10 survivors. You go to bed, shut off your system, go to bed, wake up the next morning, and 2 of your survivors could be actually on a mission on their own. Food's down halfway, you know, but that would be a good day. A bad day is waking up and finding your entire fortress destroyed. Every one of your characters that you saved was zombified. And the reason why is because when you went to bed, the game was still working and playing on a different server. So could possibly one, you know, of your survivors went out to grab some food, came back, had been bitten along the way, got sick, became a zombie, infected everybody else. Now you're screwed. You know, when Xbox did this whole restriction thing about being online 24, you know, signing in every day, you know, the signing in part didn't bother me. Because if you had to sign in online every day, that just meant that you didn't have to be online every day. But being online every day, if they really meant it, meant games like this, meant games like Destiny, like Titanfall. And a game that actually lives its own life. I mean, it's reality. When you go to bed, the world is still working, it's still running. And that's what the game is. That's what State of Decay is. It's a world upon itself that's still running. Whether you're playing it or not, it's still running. You know, one of my friends was playing it with me. And, you know, we entered the same world together. We was playing. He decided to leave. I left after him. He came back. His fort was decimated. I tried to help, but I couldn't. But that's what makes the game so epic. It's a survival game. There's nothing like it. You actually have to keep playing to survive. If you don't, you gotta start all over again. And to me, that's what a survival game should be. You know, if you have to survive, it should be in the option of a real world. You know, where it keeps running whether you like it or not. Things happen whether you like it or not. And you pretty much have to live with it and try and fix it. That's why State of Decay is my #1 zombie game. If you haven't played it on Xbox 360, pick it up. Xbox One, there's a game coming out for it. Sony guys, I'm sorry. game's not going to be out for you guys. But if you have a friend that has a 360, give it a try. If you check on YouTube, watch videos. It's a pretty incredible game. It's survival at its lowest and best at the same time. Well, that's my top 10 great zombie games that I played. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was a little bit informative. Have a good night. Happy Halloween. Later on tonight, which will probably be tomorrow morning, I am going to go through my top 10 horror games. Stay tuned, guys. Take care. See you soon.